Welcome back to Anchor Designs. I'm James, and today we are going to be making a knife sheath for my newly custom made knife that was made for me by Ant at Snickshaw on Instagram. I'll leave a link to his page, and let's just jump straight into it. Okay, this is a full disclosure right here. This is the first time I'm actually working with leather. I bought myself a multi-pack of offcuts from eBay, and this is, it's called saddle leather. So these are little bits of offcuts, and it's roughly, probably around 4mm thick. It is really, really nice, pretty looking stuff. So I feel it's going to be quite nice for actually making the sheath. Hopefully it's very stiff, so I think it's going to be very difficult to kind of shrink round. I'm probably not going to try and wet form this because I don't think it's the right leather. I think it needs to be more of a more stable veg tan, something like that. I like this because it is a little bit rusticy worn. So yeah, I'm just going to start cutting things. Let's take a closer look at some of the tools that I'm going to be using and yeah, start making. Okay, just some more information for you knife gurus out there. This is a custom made knife here in the UK, and it is a recycled blade, so this is from a big farrier's rasp. So I'm going to give you some close-ups of this here, and it is very, very, very beautiful. It is very, very chunky. This is not a vegetable slicer, it's not a fish gutter knife or whatever you want to call it, or a tomato knife, anything like that. It's not one of those. I've been struggling with my hands lately, and I spoke to a friend of mine on Instagram who's a knife maker, and he made me this one. So it's recycled, it's green, which is what I wanted, and bless him, he even has put a custom little anchor emblem in there. So absolutely treasure this knife. I've been using it ever since I've got it, so that's why I've scratched, scuffed and blunted little bits of it. But this is very much kind of a chopper, opening big parcels up, and I'm not kind of really holding tight with my hands. It is lovely, very, very nice. He doesn't make sheaths, so I thought let's invest in some of our material. So yeah, what are we going to be using today? I've got some of these, which is from Hobbycraft, which is just some plastic palette knives. I'm going to be using some contact adhesive, so from this, just from Screwfix. My partner, she works at a private, she is a self-employed person in the NHS, so she buys these scalpels, which are extremely sharp, but ideal for leather. Quite nice that these are made in Sheffield, which is good. Thank you very much. I have some of these scrapers just here. These are like window scrapers that you can buy from like automated places, and they're very, very handy little razor blades. I struggle to kind of hold these at the minute. I've got some paper just for using as a template, and I've got a rubber mallet, which I'm going to make a wood-turned mallet. So if you want to see that, hit subscribe. See what I did there? And I bought this, which is wax thread. I don't know if this is any good, but I've kind of got a little bit done on the internet. So I bought some really, really cheap, like £3. I know, buy cheap, etc. And I ended up getting just a ball of this stuff. So I went back and I wanted some proper stuff on a bobbin. So I've now got some proper stuff here. So all in all, this has cost me about £12 for these leather offcuts. Obviously, you don't know what you're going to get. A bit of a Forrest Gump. And then I've got these, which is a tenner. And last year, when I went to Maker Central, I went to Tandy Leather. I think it was the store, and I've bought some tools. So I'm going to show you these very quickly. Okay, here is my all things sewing, leather, cotton, whatever, toolbox. These are really, really handy. So if you did want to kind of get into this for man sewing, these are really good. They sell them at like Lidl and places like that. So I've got all my little clamps in here. These is what I bought last year. I tried making a wallet, so you can buy these multi-packs, and they're pretty pants. the leather that you get. For the stuff that I want to be doing, it's not really ideal, but that was probably about tenner as well. I bought these two tools, which I felt for what I wanted to do was the most important. You can buy the cheap Amazon sets, but I don't buy cheap tools where, you know, if I need to use them. And I thought with the thick material that I'm going to be using here, I just think it would be a waste of investment. So I bought one of these, which is a stitching tool. I didn't pay that. And I bought one of these, which is a pronged chisel, I think is what they call it. I've heard that these are probably one of the best that you can buy, and I thought, well, for the two most tools that you're going to be abusing the most, buy decent quality ones. Okay, so let's stop talking and start cutting up some cow. Okay, so the tool I was going to make a template on here. I'm not going to bother because I am lazy, but I'm going to use one of these. Now, if you haven't seen one of these before, I don't know the correct name, but it's got chalk in the bottom, or it's got like this really, really small white powder, and it's got a little ratcheting system just off there, and what it does, it will leave a little line, and you're not going to be using a Sharpie that's going to look horrific, or a pencil that you can't rub off. So we're going to go ahead and use this, the type of knife that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to do 2 belt loops up in the top, and I'm going to be making a blade, a sheath protector. So it's going to be a length of leather that's going to contact the blade, so you're not going to be cutting your stitching. That's very important, so I'm told. A top tip here, if you are going to be doing this, using one of these craft mats are very handy for squaring up. So you can square up one side of the leather here, and you can use just a line, butt that up to the line here, and then you can use your rule at the end to actually slice and cut this from this line here. So I'm going to be using a line there, just like so. Now admittedly, I think what I will do is I'm just going to cut this straight away, because it's a straight line. If you can't get hold of scalpels, then you can use a Stanley knife blade, you can use whatever, you can use a scraper, but these are, oh, that's sharp. Oh my god, right, okay, let's do this. That is super sharp. So I'm going to go a little bit over actually, because I'm going to stretch some of the material. Bottom here. Wow, that cuts nicely. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the middle bit as my template, so if I cock it up I can kind of hide it. And I think the best way for me to actually do this is I'm going to use a lollipop, just so that's going to give me an equal distance all the way around. So I'm going to hold you on there.
So that way, I should begin to like so. Like so.
And then we can make it all round and pretty and all that jazz later on. I'm going to do the inside first, because I feel that's probably going to be the easiest way and the easiest part of this to cut. And what I'm finding, just starting to use this, is just keep scoring it as if you would, if you do quite a bit of woodwork, you'd use a marking knife like this. And obviously don't put your thumb anywhere near the back, because you'll remove it. Right, looks at. I don't know if it's going to work, but that looks pretty nice. Okay, so I'm going to cut around. I think this this area here, and then what I'll do is I'll transfer that over onto this part here, and I will perhaps glue this just so that I can kind of get that feel for where this knife is actually going to end up, and the sheath size way as well. I'm going to trim around this edge just so that's going to give me the width. But yeah, this is looking really good so far, and this is, you know, this is really tough leather. This is, so that's great. Okay, just whilst I'm cutting this out, I was a bit fearful for my fingers, so I've just upgraded to using one of these. As well, with a little plastic knife, it was starting to skip a little bit. But I am getting quite a nice. I'm just rolling that back now. I have used these before with the metal handles, and they're a lot nicer to use. This, I feel like I'm going to snap it if I'm pushing too hard on. But again, I'm not in a rush here. Getting nearly there. Okay, I'm going to use these, which are called, I think they're called crocodile clips, I'm not sure. Never worked in an office, but I think that's what office people call them. I've got to say that using this scalpel, I don't know how many other leather workers use them. I've not seen any. But it is a pleasure to use, apart from when you do that and skip off. It's alright, that's the scrap piece. If anyone does know anything about leatherworking, it'd be great to hear from you. And I don't know how much these cost, but I think they're actually cheaper than the proper American craft knife things. I can't remember what the brand's called. Now I'm going to round all this stuff off here because I quite like that roundy domey look. And I think what I'll end up doing is probably a bit of a heathen, but I'll probably end up sanding some of these edges here, and just leaving that quite tapered off. Okay, now this is one thing I do know, that on here that you should dye this and then like buff it. I don't have one of those tools. I did look at one of those tools and I thought that was a bit expensive for what they are. So I'm going to jump on the wood lathe and I'm just going to use a gouge just to make a very quick and rough one, and we're just going to go around each and every one of these to kind of finish those edges. Okay, so we're over on the lathe now. Just in case you're interested, this is a piece of boxwood, and I've got a small gouge and a small scraper, and I'm just going to make a small little groove in here just so I can start burnishing those edges of the leather. On the edges that I have here, you can get waxes and dyes and stuff. I'm not going to make many of these, so I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use a brown Sharpie. I've not done this, so I'm going to see how it kind of looks on this test piece. And I'm just going to go around, colour these in, and I'm going to use this as my tester. really pleased with that actually. So see, that's the undone, and this is the polished side here, and it's really hardened that off there. That's very nice. Chuffed to bits. That's great. Slight change of plan. I'm going to be shaping this and rounding these corners off slightly. I've got about 3/8 or 10mm of material to kind of fiddle around with and play with. I've just done around the tops here and cleaned up those sides. But I'm just going to contact adhesive these first, and then I'll probably come back, make a bigger slot here, and then do it kind of all as one, because if not I'm going to get this kind of bumpy effect. I don't really want that. Okay, for my contact cement, I'm just going to be using contact adhesive, just this stuff, it's fairly cheap, and I'm going to apply this with one of these palette knives that I bought. I think that one. And I'm just going to scuff up the edges of this with Okay, we've got everything clamped up. I'm going to go away and have a cup of tea, and I'm going to come back and see what she looks like. I'm going to do a spread out there. I don't know how long this takes to dry.
A few inches later.
Okay, it's been a little while. We're on. I'm just going to test fit this. That way. Just feel really nice, that. It's holding together. Going to trim that piece down there because that's going to really annoy me, and I'm going to sand around here just to kind of shape it, make it not look awful. It's probably a really bad thing to sand this, but I am going to do it. Okay, so it's kind of finished up. It was a little bit messy, but it's fine. It's fine. So I'm going to colour this in now, and I'm just going to burnish those edges. Or should I do the stitching? I think I'll probably stitch it first. Is that the right thing to do? I'm going to stitch it. I'm going to burnish it first because I think your stitching should be probably the last thing. But it is starting to take shape. It is definitely tight. And I'm probably going to just cut that straight up there. Yeah, okay. I'm going to cut that straight up there and then see what it looks like. Okay, this is where I'm currently at, and it's beautiful leather, really nice. I've just gone around and coloured this in. Definitely the dyes are probably worth having, but I just wanted something quick and easy that I can that I've got and I don't have to buy any more of. So some close-ups here of the leather. There we go. Oops. Okay, I've very quickly gone round this with the white little lines here. I'm going to be using one of these. I'm going to be moving the scalpel out of the way. And I'm just using a rubber mallet, and I'm probably not going to be able to go the whole way through here. Okay, I'm at my Jones and Shipman precision drill, and this machine is beautiful. Okay, this is wax thread, and I think I'm going to go for the brown, because brown. And I was thinking about doing a double stitch, and how you do a double stitch is you get the two ends, I think it's called a saddle stitch as well, is you put the needles on two ends of each side, and then you go in and out, and then in and then out, keeping that order. But these needles are, if you are going to try this, these are very tight. So what you can do to make it look like a saddle stitch, from what I understand, is go in and in and out, and then get to the other end, and then start the other way. So I'm going to do that and then see how it kind of get on. I think that's going to be the best way for now. Well, I'm kind of getting there. I think it doesn't look great because the whole knife, or whatever these are called, I think this is designed for a lot smaller. I could be wrong on that, but I'm sure I've seen some larger ones. And I'm punching through nearly 10mm of leather here. That's probably not helping the situation. Okay, this is where I'm at so far. Oh god. Oh god. Oh. Cut. Okay, sorry about that. I suddenly started painting red things. And I thought I'd cover that with some masking tape, because painting. I'm pretty pleased with it, actually. I was a bit optimistic, but it looks pretty nice. I've got the equal, kind of stitchings in there. Again, I do think this is too small. I went round the top, and that's, I think that's really kind of finished it off. It's also helped it kind of stretch that mouth there, so when you do put it in, it's got a really nice, that feels great now. And I'm pretty happy with it just being like that. But what I am going to do is I am going to measure my belt, and I'm just going to put two, there's more red paint coming from somewhere. Oh god. And I'm just going to put two nice and simple little slots there. I'm going to drill this out. I would love to have some really nice leather punches. So if you've got any suggestions or more kind of leather working tools, this is the type of stuff that I'm going to be doing. I want to be, my next one, I want to make a cover for a draw knife that I've just bought. I want to make a cover for that. So it's this type of leather that I'm going to be using. I love that look. It's kind of like what I imagine Conway Twitty's underpants to be made out of. Looks very cool, and it's something like Clint Eastwoody. So it's kind of that. It's just that nice looking saddle look, and I love the look of that. So I'm going to probably do those two off camera. I'm going to drill two holes, and I'm going to drill them maybe at a slight angle. Would that be weird? Right guys, I've had a bit of a think about it and I'm going to leave it like this for now. Reason behind it is I don't know what I want to do with it next. I might be putting 2 slots down here. I might put another leather back on here with a loop, and then I can bring it out a little bit, because some of the belts that I've got with my work trousers are like, you know, 2-inch, I think 2 inches. I'm not going to put it on my belt. I'm not going to use this as that kind of knife. This is really handy as a rope knife. And as you can see here, there's just some close-ups of it. Yeah, it looks a bit messy up here. On the back there it looks a lot tidier, and here's some of the detailed stitching at the front. But all in all, this is my first ever leather thing, and it is definitely man stitching. My hands are knackered, but it's really nice leather. If you want it looking a little bit, you know, Glen Campbell-y, then it looks really cool. I really like this, and if you have got any suggestions of tools or anything that's like you need one of those, please do leave a comment and let me know, because this is something completely new to me. I don't know where this is going to end. I don't know, you know, kind of where the whole leatherwork into the channel is actually going to go. I have enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but is it, you know, that interesting for content? I've got some practical uses that I need for it. Again, draw knife, axes, you know, things like that that I think would actually be a benefit. But for, you know, one-off video, kind of, this is what I'm doing. I might do another one if you did enjoy it. If you did enjoy me kind of cutting my hands up, not really knowing what I'm doing and figuring it out as we go along, then yeah, brilliant. But again, I will stress, first time, don't really know what I'm doing. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit like. If you didn't, then sorry. See you next time. Thank you.